Coming up, a D.C. civil rights attorney says he wants federal authorities to get involved in a race-related case against a Lexington Catholic student.
I didn't kill my son. I never poisoned him with salt.
Coming up, a Kentucky mother convicted of murder by poisoning her son claims it was a hospital's mistake. We'll have a preview of an investigation by 48 hours.
This special edition Maker's Mark bottle may be sold out, but coming up, find out how you can still get one.
WKYT News starts now with breaking news.
Good afternoon to you. A road in Lexington has been shut down right now because of a serious crash, and in the last half hour we have learned some new details about it.
That crash happened at about 2:30 this afternoon on Old Richmond Road at DeLong Road. Lexington police are telling us that a car was turning onto Old Richmond Road from DeLong when it went into the path of another car, causing the crash. Police say the driver of one of the vehicles was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. Old Richmond Road is shut down now between 8th and Boonesboro Road and DeLong. Lexington police have called out their crash reconstruction unit to investigate that scene, but again, it's at Old Richmond Road and DeLong Road. It is a chilly start to the weekend. Chris told us it was coming, and we've got rain mixed in with that as well.
That we do, and that cold blast is expected to last through our Sunday morning. Let's check in now with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
Yeah,
Hi, Chris.
snow and sleet out there in the parts of the area as well, guys. Been that way pretty much all day long across the Bluegrass State, and we continue to see that right now. We're looking at our live sky cam, and with this batch that is moving in, we're getting the ice pellets coming down so hard to cover the ground in a few spots right now into the Bluegrass region. So that's what we've been playing with over the past several hours, and you can really see that. The little pockets of snowflakes and sleet in there where you see the yellows, the oranges, and even some reds, higher reflectivity, chances are that may cover the ground for at least a brief moment with some sleet and or wet snows. It'll quickly melt away, but we've got more coming in from northwest to southeast right now. It is an ugly, ugly pattern to say the least on that northwesterly wind flow with cold air dominating the pattern across the Bluegrass State. Temperatures upper 30s when you get under a little bit of precipitation to around 40. You're thinking, how are we getting sleet and some snow at 40 degrees? Well, 32 degrees is just above our heads right now, so that precipitation does not have enough time to melt before it actually gets down to where we live. I'll come back in a little bit and talk about multiple freeze threats showing up in the 7-day forecast.
All right, Chris, we'll see you then. The attorney representing a mother who says her son was threatened with racially charged messages by a Lexington Catholic high school teammate says he is considering pursuing federal charges.
Last night, Lexington police charged a 17-year-old student with harassing communications and terroristic threatening. Mike Byer has been tracking new details in this case all day. It's our top story at 4:30.
A D.C. civil rights attorney says he wants federal authorities to get involved in a race-related case involving a 17-year-old Lexington Catholic student. The student is charged with harassing communications and terroristic threatening stemming from messages sent to Denisha Vinegar's son, DeMarco. The 14-year-old, who previously attended Lexington Catholic, was a victim of harassment from one of his teammates on the football team. Vinegar tells us the charged boy sent her son messages threatening him with lynching and telling him to pick cotton to raise money for a school fundraiser. The family's attorney, Amos Jones, who is a native of Lexington, says so far the school has not cooperated with him or the Vinegar family.
They are going to have to talk with us honestly for a change. And now they can't try to trick my client anymore because I am assembling a team of legal talent who knows the difference. And we will fight back, but we would rather resolve these problems in a way that's constructive.
Now the family has received DeMarco's transcripts. Meanwhile, school president Dr. Steve Angelucci didn't want to speak on camera, but he says their next step is to finalize their legal team. In Lexington, Mike Byer, WKYT.
And we also reached out to the NAACP. They say they want the county attorney's office to make this a hate crime. A Kentucky mother convicted of poisoning her son is talking about the case for the first time.
Tomorrow night, 48 Hours investigates the death of the young boy and his mother who blamed the hospital. Lacey Spears gave her only interview to Troy Roberts. Here's a preview of that episode.
I lost my 5-year-old son, and I'm very saddened that I'll never get to watch him grow up.
Lacey Spears was a 26-year-old single mother when she lost her son, Garnet.
How did your son die?
His death certificate says homicide.
Much of Garnet Spears' young life was spent seeking medical attention for often unexplained health issues, something Lacey frequently posted about on social media.
He was in and out of the hospital for the first 9 weeks of his life and afterwards.
At 10 weeks old, doctors at a hospital in Alabama found his sodium level to be unusually high. But that was just the beginning.
The biggest problem we had was we couldn't get him to eat, so he was losing weight.
Garnet had surgery at 9 months old to insert a feeding tube.
They were hopeful that within time he wouldn't have so much problems eating.
However, Lacey says Garnet continued to have feeding issues. So she took him to more doctors. Through the years, some doctors had concerns about the cause of Garnet's medical ailments. One noted in a letter obtained by 48 Hours that Lacey might suffer from Munchausen by proxy.
Munchausen by proxy is faking illness in someone else and also inducing illness. It's mostly to seek attention.
In January 2014, 5-year-old Garnet was taken again to a hospital. He was admitted with seizure-like symptoms. Later during that hospital stay, Garnet is in distress, stops breathing, and tests showed an eerily familiar condition, high levels of sodium, which caused his brain to swell.
This is my 5-year-old son on life support.
2 days later, Garnet is officially declared dead. Doctors could not figure out how Garnet's sodium level had gotten so high unless someone had given him salt. 5 months after Garnet's death, Lacey Spears was charged with murder.
I didn't kill my son. I never poisoned him with salt.
Then why is his sodium level so high?
You would have to ask the hospital that.
Spears is originally from Scottsville, Kentucky in Allen County. She moved back there to live with her parents after Garnet's death. Spears was sentenced to 20 years to life in prison. You can watch that full report on 48 Hours tomorrow right here on WKYT at 10. Now to an update on a Lexington shooting that we first had as breaking news early this morning. Police say a woman was beating on the door of a home on Tangley Way near Manowar and Nicholasville Roads about 6 this morning. When she refused to leave, the homeowner says they became afraid and fired a shot at the door. Glass hit the woman in the eye. Police are still trying to figure out why she was even at that home.
Police are looking for a man accused of robbing a Lexington restaurant. It happened at the Sir Pizza on New Circle Road near Russell Cave. Just before midnight, police say a masked man who claimed to be armed went in the restaurant and demanded money from the manager. After the manager handed over some cash, police say the thief took off and was last seen heading towards the Hollow Creek area. No injuries were reported. Police say a canine unit helped search for the suspect, but they were unable to find him. Fans of bourbon and UK basketball, that's a combination, waited in line for hours this morning to get this year's Maker's Mark commemorative bottle.
And as WKYT Sabira Rayford shows us, once the bottles went on sale, they didn't last long.
Looking around me now, you can hardly tell that over 300 people packed inside the liquor barn off Manowar Boulevard. Their one goal, a special edition Maker's Mark bottle featuring Joby Hall and the 1978 championship team. The manager here told me people started lining up late last night and camped out till early this morning for the bottle. It went on sale at 9 o'clock, and not too much longer after that, they were completely sold out. The bottle was selling for $55 at the store. Now, some people have already posted the bottle on Craigslist for 2 or 3 times that amount. One woman was first in line, and she says she does this for every special edition bottle.
I've been doing this for quite a few years now. I used to collect them for myself and my dad. He was part of the 101 committee. I've since lost him, but I still get the bottles for myself.
If you were able to snag one of the special edition bottles, an autograph signing will be held at Keeneland next Friday, featuring some of the players from the 1978 team. In Lexington, Sabira Rayford, WKYT.
And some of the proceeds from the sale of the bottles help raise money for the Center for Academic and Tutorial Services at the University of Kentucky.
A Lexington brewery has come up with a unique way to honor country music legend Merle Haggard. One of the owners of Country Boy told the Herald Leader that when they heard of Haggard's death, They decided to put a message on the cans. A worker added a date stamp on the bottom of Cougar Bait cans that says, "Rest in peace, Merle." There are about 2,800 six-packs with the stamp making their way to stores now. Merle Haggard will be laid to rest tomorrow after a private funeral service at his home in California. Pope Francis has published new guidelines on family life in a groundbreaking church document called The Joy of Love.
Seth Doan reports.
It's the Pope's Guide to Love, Sex, and Marriage.
This is not a manual of answers to all of the great problems. It's rather an honest attempt to raise all the great questions that families are facing today.
Francis famously said, "Who am I to judge?" when asked about homosexuals. But that did not stop him from a judgment on same-sex marriage in this paper. It says there are absolutely no grounds for considering homosexual unions. He calls divorce evil, but he has left the door open for people who are remarried without an annulment to take communion. On gender identity, the document says, "Accept our humanity as it was created." But that's not exactly the acceptance the transgender community was looking for. While this document may not usher in radical change, this Pope did recognize the great diversity among the world's 1.2 billion Catholics.
This document does allow discretion for regional churches, and at times the Pope is quite practical, offering marital advice to young couples, suggesting that they go on trips together or share the chores. Seth Doan, CBS News, Rome.
Pope Francis says Catholics should let their conscience show them how to behave, not church rules. Well, it's raining outside, so it certainly may not feel like it outside, but it's spring, and horse racing fans aren't letting all of this dampen their spirits for opening day of the spring meet at Keeneland.
It's still Keeneland, even if it's wet. Deanne Stevens is out and about the races. Hey, Deanne.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. We are here at Keeneland for opening day. Where else would you expect me to be out and about on opening day? Keeneland, and over here with our famous betologist, Jonathan, is with us. And you guys have a lot going on this meet. You've changed things up a bit. What's happening over here?
Well, we spruced up a little bit, you know. We have some new tables out. Get all betologist branded on you.
Right.
We created this digital board, so we used to handwrite all of our picks and everything, so now we fancied everything up. And we're just giving you our top picks for every race, showing you how we did for each race, and then pulling a little information that, you know, you may need for the day.
Well, it makes it a little easier for folks, and a lot of people can be intimidated by the whole betting thing.
Sure.
How do you go about doing it? What do you do? How much money does it take? Anybody can stop by here for info?
Anybody. We try to make it easier for people that are not experienced. We've had a ton of first-timers here today already, and it's fantastic talking to those people and just getting them acclimated to this great place. So.
Okay, so what should they know about the board? I like this horse of interest thing, because does that mean you might like the color of the jockey silk, or you might like the color of the horse? Because that's how I pick them.
That's how you do it. What we try to do is give you a little bit of a price horse. So we're not saying this horse will necessarily win. It could, but it's generally a little bit more of a price, a long shot per se. And we're just going to give you a little bit of information on that horse and tell you why we kind of like that horse.
Okay, and so we'll see how you guys do by the end of the day, and we'll see how you do by the end of the meet. Kicking off today, opening day of Keeneland, running through the end of April. I'm Deanne Stevens, out and about. Back to you guys.
All right, hope you dry out there, Deanne. Okay, this is interesting. A high school musical in New Zealand got a real taste of being too real during a performance of Sweeney Todd. Here's what happened. A prop razor used in a throat-slitting scene ended up cutting the necks of two boys and sending them to the hospital overnight. The head of the college says that the razor used in the show was real, but had been bound in duct tape, and that he has no idea what went wrong during a scene midway through the second act.
Razor, and so, but it has been filed down and bound with various things. It would be normal to use such a prop in Sweeney Todd. Maybe next year we'll do something that's more general.
The boys were released from the hospital yesterday, and they're doing well. Cole said a performance of the play scheduled for yesterday was canceled, but he hoped the show would resume today. You and I were talking a minute ago, really feel for the people leaving Keeneland. Of course, umbrellas and raincoats outside, you know, you deal with the rain, but still, it's just a messy way to be at Keeneland on Friday.
Definitely. And Chris, our weekend's going to be sort of messy and cold, right?
It's going to be cold. That's a given, and even a snowflake may linger into part of the day on our Saturday. A little look outside right now showing where we have at least a hint of some sunshine. Look at that, upper 40s into Jackson and London. Now we get into Lexington, where we've had some thunder sleet mixing with a little snow, mixing with a little rain. It's beginning to let up a little bit, so the temperature out at the airport, not that it ever needs any help, is responding a little bit, up to 44. Yet we're at 38 at the station, 40 into Covington with some light rain and some wet snows on the move. We look at that Defender radar network, and yeah, a little thunder and lightning accompanying this mess into parts of central Kentucky. If you're out this evening, anyone is fair game for a gusty shower of rain or snow, with temperatures dropping through the 30s. With this mess out there, it is having a big impact on the roads in Lexington. Let's get an update on that ugly Friday afternoon commute with Officer Don. Don?
Well, several collisions working at the moment, including one at Tates Creek and Dove Run that just happened. That's a non-injury crash that police are working. There's also one at the Alumni in Yellowstone as well. That is causing some problems in that area, as you can imagine. It's pretty crowded this time of the day. And then Old Richmond, or maybe Old Richmond and DeLong, there's an injury collision that has Old Richmond Road shut down. 4 crashes downtown, Ransom and Woodland, High, Pine Street. 4 were working, and then there's Keeneland traffic on top of that. So it's a mess trying to get home. Drive times are going to be impacted for sure. Outbound to Versailles will take a little bit longer. Same deal to Nicholasville, and we're also dealing with slowdowns on the interstate to Mount Sterling about 30 minutes now. Now back to you in the studio.
Slow going out there. Take your time. All right, dumping Trump and will you marry or will you carry me? It's the video that will have you talking. Take a look at this.
Donald Trump's approach to politics has Republicans hoping to dump Trump, and also a lot of support as well. But a California woman is hoping to make some extra cash with what she calls dumps for Trump. Dumps meaning dog dumps. And Trump is featured on specialty bags for scooping the poop.
One marriage to be is off to a rocky start. Michael Banks illegally climbed this 600-foot Morro rock on the Southern California coast to pop the question. His girlfriend was watching him via FaceTime. She said yes, but Banks got stuck while trying to climb down. So after saying, "Will you marry me?" he had to say, "Will you carry me?" Authorities had to call in a helicopter for a tricky rescue. Morro Bay's fire captain noted there are plenty of other safe and beautiful areas to pop the question, where there's no danger of falling off a cliff. Probably not the best idea.
Yeah, but building support and trust with each other,
I guess.
That's one interesting way of doing it.
Yeah, that it is. All right, we have a busy Friday afternoon for you. Stick with us. Here's what's coming your way now at 5 o'clock.